Gaming, but in therapy? Hey there, I'm Dr. Jordan Soper, a board-certified behavioral and cognitive psychologist, as well as an ASEC-certified sex therapist. And today on Psych Reads, I have a fantastic book for you, particularly for clinicians. This is for everyone, but particularly the clinicians. This book, Tabletop Role-Playing Therapy by Dr. Connell. Dr. Connell does an amazing job in this book, really talking about different ways to incorporate or integrate role-playing games or tabletop games into the therapeutic space, particularly with a variety of diverse different groups, and really giving very applicable techniques that can be integrated into the therapeutic space, and really being able to make a very person-centered approach to care. It does a fabulous job of talking about it. And we're going to read one of my favorite chapters today, chapter 6, which talks about how to integrate tabletop based on specific diagnoses. And of course, because I'm me, we're going to talk about anxiety and how to take the theories and application of tabletop role-playing games into the therapeutic space, especially for people who have anxiety. So let's roll initiative and talk all about anxiety. Come on. Many disorders fall under the umbrella term of anxiety. Anxiety can be generalized, specific to a phobic response, or tied to social situations or specific circumstances. Broadly speaking, when discussing anxiety, it is a consistent and persistent worry and/or fear. Cognitively, anxiety is challenging, as a person with anxiety may have thoughts such as, "This feeling will stop if you do ... When those with anxiety engage in the action their anxiety is telling them to do, often they experience a momentary release from the anxiety. Then, the feeling tends to return and can often be stronger than it was before the person engaged in the coping behavior." This is really common, especially with OCD, because the more you do the compulsive behavior to get away from the anxiety, the worse the anxiety gets. This creates a quandary, as the person wants to be rid of their anxiety. Yet the more they engage in behaviors that they think will eliminate their anxiety, the more anxiety they experience. Therapy for anxiety often focuses on helping the person learn how to face their fears and make space for their feeling of anxiety. There are many forms of anxiety, and most can be targeted through RPGs. This book will examine a few of the more common challenges seen: worry about making everyone happy, people-pleasing, making the right decision, and not making mistakes. This comes up so much, particularly the right decision. The idea of rightness, wrongness, good, bad. This comes up with a lot of different anxiety conditions. How applied RPGs can be helpful. For those with anxiety focused on making mistakes or doing the wrong thing, RPGs offer players the chance to make mistakes in a place where there are no real-world consequences. The character can make blunders, and the player can observe what happens to them as a result. In an RPG, the group has the ability to process and discuss social encounters right after they happen. If the applied GM wishes, they can even do do-overs for specific situations. This can be really helpful when you're wanting to get a variety of different outcomes in a safe experimental setting, instead of the idea of going forth and conquering in the real world, which may actually be more anxiety provoking and at a higher level than our patients might be. For those with social anxiety, RPGs also offer the unique opportunity for the player to ask the other players about how their respective characters are feeling or reacting in a given situation. This allows for the person with social anxiety to start to understand the motivation behind how others act in the world, so that they can better assess and appreciate the impact of their behaviors. For example, if an anxious player wants to help an NPC that the rest of the group does not, they can ask, "Are your characters upset that my character wants to do this mission?" The other players then are able to discuss what their reasoning is for their characters. As noted in previous chapters, it can be easier for the players to have the character ask for what they want and assert boundaries, as it is the character, not the player, standing up for themselves. What I really like about that tool discussed just now is the idea of conscientiousness of others, or as a social skill to assess and get people to identify and share what's going on in their mind with someone else. Especially for those of us who have anxiety, we often do a lot of what's called mind reading. We're making assumptions. We are assuming how someone else is thinking or responding using our own filtering system. This tool is really unique and this tool discussed is really helpful to get people to talk about their thoughts and their feelings with more concrete, specific information versus often what our anxiety is doing, which the anxiety is calling the shots, and anxiety is an asshole. It doesn't get to call the shots. Some specific challenges that might arise from having anxious players at the table can be indecision, unwillingness to speak up, and self-deprecating behaviors. Indecision is often the byproduct of a player wanting to make the right choice so that the other players at the table do not get angry at them. The player can worry so much about this that they can take a long time to do much of anything or come to a point where they do not engage at the game at all. The idea of predicting outcomes. This is honestly what I love about RPGs, particularly Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a D&D nerd. Is the notion of RNG. The idea of there is no right answer. But as a result of that, that can almost increase the anxiety of a person or a player, is the idea that I can't control the outcomes. I can't predict the outcomes. So then we almost feel paralyzed of, I need to make the right decision. I need to ensure that this is the right call. This is where I like the dice, is let the dice make the call. Now, this is not meant to go from, I need to make the right decision to, fuck it, no decision. No. It's more along the idea of you can't predict. No matter how many possibilities, no matter how much you're trying to make the right decision, there's literally too many factors to calculate. There's too many incalculable variables. Especially if you've ever played in Dungeons and Dragons, you spend all of this time predicting outcomes, and then you roll the dice and you go, well, that wasn't even on my bingo card. That's what I like about utilizing RPGs in the therapy space, is it's allowing for cognitive flexibility. It's allowing for exposure to potential outcomes that our anxiety can't even predict. No matter how much our anxiety says, well, what if this, and what if this, and what if this? You're never going to get it all right. It's never going to get everything because the amount of variables is too incalculable. So instead of us looking for the right decision, let's make a decision that we feel confident and value congruent in for ourselves. Plus, simultaneously, it pisses off your anxiety, and that's always good. Now, here's the thing. This book is fantastic. So if you are a geeky, nerdy clinician, please go pick up this book. It is wonderful, and especially if you love group therapy, talks a lot about group therapeutic techniques, particularly with people who might have anxiety conditions, autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, a whole variety of very applicable skills to different population groups. If you yourself are not a clinician, but you do want to maybe integrate RPGs into your therapeutic space, or honestly just want to learn about it, oh my gosh, please pick this sucker up. It's a relatively newer book, so it was only published a few years ago, so it's a new one that doesn't get a lot of attention, but please check it out and read it. It's so good. What reactions did you have to anything that we went over in here? Have you thought about ways you can integrate your hobbies into your therapy? Feel free to put those comments or questions down below, and I will see you next week for another episode of Psych Reads.